perspective of the Department of Agriculture, we have a wealth of information on our website. I think it's important to note that as a state government entity, that a lot of what we do is set in statute. So we're basically mandated by the legislature and state law to have certain programs. And so we have currently 4 divisions: food and nutrition, plant industry, animal industry, and consumer equitability. So each one of those divisions helps Nevada agriculture in different ways, and I'll just give a couple examples. The plant industry division, for example, does nursery inspections, for example. They inspect produce, crops that people are growing to make sure that they meet standards, they're healthy, and there's environmental standards being met. Our animal industry division, another important component to the department. One thing that they do is brand inspections, so they basically help determine ownership of cattle, livestock in the state of Nevada. So we play a different, or a handful of different roles for Nevada agriculture, and a lot of that information is available on our website. I would also like to mention that in regards to local food systems, one thing that we've done in the last 6 months is to create a program operated within the Department of Agriculture that basically helps connect consumers and businesses with other businesses, growers in the state of Nevada, producers, livestock operators, and so on and so forth, so that people have a source for locally or Nevada grown and produced food. So I'll just give you an example. We recently put the program is called Buy Nevada, and one thing we recently did is we helped to put our logo at the Great Basin Food Co-op, so that when people go to the co-op, they know they can look on the shelf. There's a little tag that says has the Buy Nevada logo, and they know that that is a Nevada-made or grown food. So that's one way that we have kind of helped consumers connect with Nevada producers. As well, we're trying to help growers and producers connect with retail outlets and restaurants and that kind of thing, so that Nevada products are being sold to, distributors here in Nevada or restaurants and that kind of thing. So it's a business-to-business program, but it's also a consumer-to-business program as well. Things that we're doing here at the Department of Ag. We recently have launched, and it's not yet public, but it will be within the next week or so, a fact sheet series. So we're going to be doing fact sheets on specific programs operated out of the Department of Agriculture. This one I have here is the Specialty Crop Block Grant Program. We're also going to be doing some issue-oriented fact sheets. So we're going to look at the role of, say, livestock grazing on rangeland ecosystems, for example. So that's one avenue that people can get information. We also, Tatiana recently completed the economic contribution of Nevada agriculture study, and pretty thorough report on how important Nevada ag is to the state economy. So that's another reliable source of information. I think it's also important to note that there's multiple entities offering different kinds of information. Historically and traditionally, and even through today, the University of Nevada Cooperative Extension has been the source for a lot of producer-oriented information. How to build a hoop house, or how to test your soils. Just a variety of different kinds of fact sheets and outreach programs that they operate. And so they've really kind of been the outreach arm to Nevada producers for decades now, I think since the early 1900s. It's a very important issue, and from the perspective of the department, what we're trying to do is to as I hear your question, that what really comes to mind is that cooperative extension, that would be something that an extension agent might be able to take up as a as a potential fact sheet or a research project is to find out that information. For example, aquaponics on a small farm operation. Now, having said that, it's a question that we've received. I've received one within the last week or two about aquaponics, and I asked around in the department, we don't have that information. So I think it's something that, as we go down the line, and Todd Jana can weigh in on this, that we need to develop some kind of a resource so that we do have some information. So this particular individual was looking for how many aquaponic producers are there in Nevada. We don't have that information. So it's something we need to go out and try to chase as much as we can.
That's
from producers who are willing to share that information.
Can I weigh in just a quick one? When it comes to information, when it comes to a number of certain facilities within a certain industry, it's really difficult for agriculture because for most of the years, agriculture was grouped within the natural resource industry. So information is not so easily available specifically for Nevada when it comes to employment, number of establishments, different type of industries, because when you talk about agriculture, it's not just farming, it's also aquaculture. And I think it's really important to mention that there are different organizations like the Department of Training and Rehabilitation here. They are collecting certain statistics when it comes to, because basically it will be agriculture plus food manufacturing and processing that might have those type of information. So basically through connections between people who are actually doing that on the field through different trade missions or shows or small conferences in different organizations, you can start collecting that type of information. But the problem is for agriculture as industry, there is not that many available information, and something that we need to build.
Okay. If I can add a point too, it's, you know, we're in 2014 right now. As you remember, Nevada went through and is still coming out of a really severe recession. Yeah. And one consequence of that is that the ag industry in Nevada, both on the, you know, kind of the on the ground front as well as the research, extension, and outreach and education fronts, took a huge hit. So the cooperative extension, the ag experiment station at the university, and the College of Agriculture were severely downsized. And so a lot of expertise ended up basically being eliminated from the state of Nevada.
So on the department's end, we have 2 social media pages. We have the Department of Agriculture social media page, which is dedicated more to the regulatory side of things, informing consumers and also farmers and anyone else who follows our page about, okay, here's the new regulations, here's how we can help you with drought. And we don't just share our own information, we try to share information from a lot of different organizations. For example, today we shared the University Cooperative Extension just built a new website called Living with Drought. And so they're teaching people, consumers, farmers, every different sector about how they can grow crops and also just deal with the day-to-day stresses of drought. So we have that Facebook page. We also have Buy Nevada Facebook page, which and it promotes more of the food and agriculture side, more of the actual products that are being made. So we're informing consumers about this is where you can buy local food. And it's kind of it's a starting point for us because we're looking to expand into southern Nevada, but right now the majority of our members for Buy Nevada are from the north. So we're able to educate people about, look, if you want honey, you know, and you'd rather buy local honey, here's 6 producers that have their own bees and then are processing that honey, so we're giving that information. On top of that, there's a lot of other organizations besides just the Department of Agriculture that are working towards this as well. You know, we mentioned the Cooperative Extension. I think it's important to also mention Nevada Grown, which is a local nonprofit, and they represent some of the northern Nevada farmers in the area. And they've been around, I think, probably about 5 years. And then on top of that, 10, excuse me, yeah. So, and then on top of that, we have a lot of different conferences that people can attend, not just farmers, but also consumers. You know, we had just had the Small Farm Conference, and that's a huge resource because people come in, farmers come in, and they teach, you know, this is what I did, here's how you can do the same thing. So I think that's a really big resource. And then other than that, you know, there's brochures out there from Cooperative Extension. We have some brochures of our own that educate people. But I think those are the main ways right now that people are educated.
Can you maybe talk a bit about what is being launched as we speak, and then also our YouTube channel?
What is
Some of
being
our videos, like the emails.
Oh yeah, so we just started a new e-newsletter. It's called Buy Nevada Connection, and basically what we're doing, this is one way we hope, because what I found in my research is that a lot of times farmers especially are not really connected to the social media aspect of things, but they do use email. And so we're building up a database of emails, not only just with farmers, but also with consumers. We allow people to actually subscribe on our website. And so we just sent out the second letter, the second Buy Nevada Connection e-newsletter, and it basically explains, okay, here's some opportunities that you might want to capitalize on for farmers, and also mentions some of our new members if consumers are interested in checking out those new members. So that's a pretty big way that that's a big way to connect farmers and consumers, because we're really trying, that's one of the things we're trying to do is help and connect farmers to farmers, So we mentioned, for example, the tags that Bob mentioned before that we have in Great Basin Food Co-op, and we let all of our Buy Nevada members now know about that. So if they don't have tags on their produce currently, they can work with the Great Basin Food Co-op to get that information. So we're trying to work with the food co-op, but also give that information a secondary way. And then on top of that, we have the YouTube channel, which we've done videos for Nevada Department of Agriculture and also Buy Nevada. And they're basically between 1.5 minutes to 3 minutes, and they inform, depending on the video. Some videos are regulatory, so they're more specific to farmers and ranchers and other people. But a lot of the videos are just informational. So, for example, we just did a video with Kimmy Candy, and Kimmy Candy is a Buy Nevada processor. And the reason why we want to show people about Kimmy Candy is because although the agriculture, they don't buy their products directly in Nevada. They're outsourced, but they have a huge impact on Nevada's agriculture economy, because all of their candy they're selling out of the state, and then all that money's staying here in the state of Nevada. So we're trying to, on top of educating people generally about different businesses and different practices from the department, we're also showing them how buying local can, or not even local, but just buying within the state, can directly affect how much money goes back into the agriculture sector. So we do reach out. We can attend conferences. Anytime we have a Buy Nevada member or someone that works with the Department of Agriculture who's interested in having us come out and work with them, we do our best to attend every event that we can. And we bring all of our materials with us. So we're basically mouthpieces for the department, but more importantly for Nevada agriculture. And a lot of times when we go to conferences or we attend events, we get people coming up and asking questions that they probably would not have got an answer to if they hadn't come to ask us, because they're not really sure where they can get that information. So, for example, at the Small Farm Conference, a woman came up to us and asked about noxious weeds because she had no idea, She had a bunch of questions about, well, are those actually noxious, or could I grow them, and sell them? And there we were able to help her with that question where we may not be able to otherwise. So we do reach out, and we are a small group, and so, but we do our best. We just attended, actually, the last 4 Wednesdays, we attended the renowned farmers market. And so we were there not only to connect with the farmers that were there, but more importantly with the consumers that were coming to buy produce and other items from those Nevada farmers. So we were there as well too, to say, hey, here's another resource if you're interested in buying local that you can check out. And so that's helped a lot to promote the program, but more importantly to help educate consumers about. Because that's one of the biggest things that we've heard is that people are, they say, well, I want to buy local, but I have no idea how I can do that. And so we're trying with this program to help them understand, okay, here's what Nevada agriculture is, and the way that our website is sorted, they can see too what's grown directly in their city, in their county, or in the Northern Nevada region.
Historically, the role of the local county extension agent typically would be the source of information for that kind of stuff. Obviously, with the advent of social media, people are getting their information from all over the internet. So we connect with producers on our Twitter account, our Facebook, Instagram, our YouTube channel. But I would say, by and large, our Facebook pages are where we see the most interest. It's hard to say whether or not those are all producers, but typically with Nevada ag producers, what we do a lot of is we actually meet in small groups with them. We have meetings here in this room pretty frequently with the organic certification group, our ag board, different groups like that. So we're actually pretty regularly out in the community as well, because nothing can really substitute that face-to-face interaction. So we use all media. How much of that, we're not tracking it. We perhaps should be. I don't know with all the other stuff we're doing.
We do. I'd like to add that we just recently updated the Department of Agriculture website. And one of the things, it's still in the works because it does take a little, we work through the IT system that's for the whole state, but we have Google Analytics on our site. And so in the future, it's not nearly as pressing because we're trying to work on some other stuff, but we are looking to see what sites have the most traffic and to redesign the front page of our site to make sure that the information that is most accessed or most visited is most accessible on the front. So, and the website that we have is easy. It's easy to shift that information around, and so we're looking to do that too in the future as well. And that's kind of it's one of our smaller goals, but I think that's a way as well that we can look. And the cool thing is, since we have Google Analytics on the entire site, for example, producers probably visit the plant industry section of the website more than any other place. And we can know which information needs to be on the top for them just based on the Google Analytics and how many people are visiting and clicking through those web pages.
The e-news that we just launched too has really robust analytics, so we'll be able to tell there as well who's actually clicking on the information we send them, how much, what information is getting clicked. So that's pretty valuable information, and then we can also solicit feedback via surveys and say, what would you like to see more or less of in this newsletter? Because I think it's, as you mentioned before, it's easier for a producer to check their email than it is to spend all day on Facebook or Twitter or something. So those are some ways that we can kind of gather that information and kind of improve what we're offering. As part of the Buy Nevada program, it's very easy. It's not the most sophisticated database, but anyone can go on our website. It is mobile optimized, so you can. It reads really well on an iPhone, an Android, or iPad. So you go to buynevada.org, and there's a little tab on the right that, if you want to know, for example, who in Nevada is growing honey, for example, or producing honey, you just click that tab, scroll down to honey, and then you'll see every Nevada producer that we have as a Buy Nevada member making honey here in the state. If you want to know, we also have it disaggregated by location. So if you're in Fallon, for example, you can see all the Buy Nevada members who are in Fallon just by clicking the word Fallon. What we're exploring, we've actually built an app for Buy Nevada. It's not public or hasn't been launched, and we're not 100% sure it will be, but we're exploring a way to develop that same resource on an app platform that you can download from your iPhone. So you open up the app and you click on, let's say, restaurants. So we have a restaurants category. And then they can click that. They can see all the list of restaurants in Nevada where they can buy local food or locally grown food. So there's different ways like that, as you mentioned, because we are in the internet age and everything, people are carrying it around in their pockets. We'd like to be able to provide that resource. We don't know how much that will get used, but we're going to explore that and see what we can do there.
Thank you.